Hi guys, I'm here with Kate and Emma who were on the Australian contingent for the last World Moot in Canada in 2013. We're going to sit down and we're going to chat about what to expect from your experience in World Moot in Iceland this year. So Emma, Kate, what can you tell us about your experiences with World Moot last time around?
It's colder than they let on.
Yeah.
Every time. No matter how prepared you are, it's going to be colder. And it'll be wetter.
They have the word ice in the name of the country. I'm hoping that...
That was meant to be misleading.
Well, Canada, it was meant to be summer while we were there. However, nighttime definitely felt like a Brisbane winter. Probably colder, really, most nights. So just be prepared that their summer is probably not what ours is.
I know, I've sort of looked at their summer is sort of, their maximums are our Brisbane winter, so that's on a good day. So we'll see how we go with that. But, so yeah, always expect for any kind of weather. What sort of activities were there for your experience of World Moot? I mean, ours could be a bit different, but what was there to do on site?
Well, it was a similar sort of structure to what you guys are having. So there are some days on site, some days of expeditions. I think this time around everyone's doing expeditions at the same time, whereas last time we had two different groups. So someone was on site, half the group was on site, while half were on expeditions, and then we swapped. But at least this time it sounds like you'll all be there at the same time. So we had planned activities on site that we attended the days we were there. So often some of the activities, if you chose to do a hike or something like that, would go for the whole day. Other activities would only take a couple of hours. So whether that was sailing or canoeing or things like that. But one of the main things people do on site generally is just walk around, have a chat to people. There's often lots of things to do, or there was at ours anyway. They have different areas set up, different activities that you can go and do whenever you choose, things like that.
Yeah, I'd say from my experiences, there was some opportunities that sounded horrible, and we dreaded them because we're all freezing cold by that point in time. So going on an overnight hike across the other side of the lake sounded really unappealing. But what I learned from that is to take up every opportunity given. So that overnight hike was the greatest experience we had. We canoed across a lake. We didn't hunt the rabbits, but we spit roasted them over a fire. We camped only under hutchies, and we learned how to make our own hanging beds and stuff. So it was a great opportunity to share some skills. I guess the opportunity there is to make what you can of what you're given. So there were, it's about the people you're with and the opportunity you have rather than the actual activity that they're running. So just make what you can.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And speaking of the people that you were with, so it's a melting pot of cultures, like a World Moot. So I suppose what sort of nationalities did you have both in your patrols, and are you still friends with some of the people that you met at your experience of World Moot?
Yeah, I still keep in touch with at least a couple of them. One from Portugal and one from the UK. Look up the Scouting Woodworker. He's all over it. The people that we met, they taught us a lot. You got to take up every opportunity. If you do have Mexicans or people from some potentially different food cultures, be aware that your food's going to be really hot. They will bring their spices and they will bring it in full load. So your food will be hot.
Right.
I learned that really quickly.
Oh, I didn't have so much that issue in our patrol. Everyone was from a different country in my patrol, so there was only two girls, myself and another girl from Slovenia, and then we had five guys, one from Italy, one from Germany, one from the UK, one from Mexico, and one from Venezuela. And we were lucky in our patrol in that we only had one person who only had very minimal English. But luckily, Kike from Mexico was able to translate for Carlos from Venezuela, both of them speaking Spanish. So you get there. But definitely try and learn about each other's cultures and things like that. One of my favourite activities that we did was really simple. We just sat down and it was kind of like an activity worksheet, which we all sort of dreaded doing. But once we actually started doing it, it was sort of asking about each other's cultures and how you say things in different languages. So we sat there and it was a very basic set of words. But it was a lot of fun learning how to say just basic phrases in different languages and things like that. And even writing, looking at how people write things differently and stuff like that can be very different. So that was a good experience as well.
It's great to see the different background of scouting and the pride they have for scouting and the culture they have in scouting overseas as well. You get to know a bit about each of the types of organisations that the rest of your patrol come from. And one of those things is the way they wear the uniform. So some of them wear their uniform all the time. They always wear scarves. They have a lot of pride in their uniform, and it really sells something for them. And so it's a great way to learn to respect uniform and actually show some pride in your country. In that you get to share that with them. So the wearing a scarf, we don't necessarily do it all the time in Australia, but they always wear them overseas, and so it gives you a sense of belonging to something bigger, when you get that opportunity.
You won't take your scarf off for the entire moot. So as you collect more and more, if you're trading scarves with other people, you just start layering them up. So it's kind of almost a sign of pride to wear multiple scarves to show that you've got close enough and made close enough friends with other people to trade scarves and things like that, because most people only have a limited supply to trade. So
it's fantastic. And I suppose with that all these different cultures, were there any moments you had of culture shock?
On our first day we were doing a team building exercise, and it was very similar to things we do in Australia. It was getting from one side of a rope to the other side of the rope using team building and only limited pieces of wood to stand on. There's various variations of it, but basically it was about using each other. At some point we had to lift people up and things like that to get onto the smallest part of the wood and move and things like that. And if you're not communicating well, or someone's got a lack of English, things can go wrong, and you might suddenly find yourself getting hoisted into the air when you did not expect that to be happening. So just things like that. Sometimes people can't explain what they're going to do, so they just do it, which was a bit awkward. But we all laughed about it afterwards, so that was good. Some of the countries from the Middle East have only males in scouting there, so they don't have any women. There was quite a large contingent from, was it Saudi Arabia or Oman? Oman, in Canada. So it was a bit different, the way they interacted with people. So for some of them, I think it was a bit of a shock seeing women walk around in singlets and shorts and things like that. And they were often, it was just a different, it can be a bit confronting for some people, something that you take for granted. So it's just being careful with how you do things and just being respectful of other cultures as well.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of games and activities that you do where you do have females and males mixing on the same sort of level. And I think there were a couple of shocks that we saw originally on our first day in when we met for the contingent, and there was a game that Brazil was running where the boys would stand out in a circle, and they effectively had people just jumping over the circle and climbing down and a few other things. And the suggestion when a couple of girls tried to play from a couple of the boys that formed the base was immediate, just they were quartered back, so it was a little bit interesting. But I guess it's the same in a lot of conversational things. So you have culture differences, like we have, even if we have a reputation for alcohol consumption and our lax attitude towards it, just being considerate of that when being around other people. So have some respect for the Australian uniform, I guess, when you're talking about alcohol, just because of the potential impacts and offence that may cause to other people.
Yeah. I know that sometimes it's not even they just going on that what you were saying about alcohol consumption. Sometimes it's not even necessarily the culture itself, but their scouting policy that they don't want to be seen involved with it. So it's just something to be mindful of when you're interacting with. Going on site at the Moot, it's not really an issue, but when it comes to even talking about it.
Just be careful.
Yeah, a lot of countries, alcohol and scouting do not go together. So for the majority of people, the idea that in Australia, as scouts, we have events where we do drink alcohol as part of the event is a very foreign concept to a lot of countries where alcohol and scouting just don't mix. So just be respectful of that.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I suppose going back to what you said before, Emma. Did you, with the language barrier, did you end up picking up bits and pieces about sort of little languages, little phrases that you still remember?
It's been a few years now. At the time, the predominant language when we were in Canada was actually Spanish because there was a lot of people from South America in general. So just walking around, even though we were essentially in, there was a lot of French Canadians as well, and things like that. So there's bits of every language being thrown around, but Spanish was definitely one of the predominant languages. So you picked up different bits and pieces and things like that.
I guess there were some shocking things that we learned of the South American cultures, and just putting a warning out there to any of the guys that decide that they'd like to get with a girl from one of those cultures, that they're also with 3 other people in the same camp, because that's very acceptable in their culture. So don't get offended if you see them with somebody else. They'll come back to you. They like to share, but that definitely caused a couple of rows while we were over there. So be aware that there's the South American girls do have multiple relationships at a time, and that's very acceptable.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just down to the different cultures and how some things could be normal, could get a rise or make someone really angry from another country. So it's just something to be mindful of, I guess. Also,
just be careful with again, some of the South American cultures. Sometimes they can interpret friendliness as something more. So if anything, if someone does make a move on you and that was not your intention, you need to be very upfront about it, and things like that, just to make sure you don't get yourself in any awkward situations, and things like that. But generally everyone's very friendly. These are only minor things, and it's just a cultural thing. You'll find also that most people from European countries speak very good English, and they generally have 2 or 3 second languages as well. So even if their English is not as good, you'll find they probably speak fluent French or fluent German or another language like that, and that's common across most European countries. So generally they can speak a bit of something enough to get you by, things like that.
I guess the difference is their drive to know other languages. So you'll actually find that while we might want to, there might be a couple of us going, oh no, I want to learn a bit of your language, they actually want to better their English. So they're going to force you to use your English as much as possible and correct them all the time. So it's a good opportunity to get away with what you need.
No, that's fair enough. And I suppose this is just from my experience. I haven't been to an international scouting event as much, but from my experience with Europeans, don't be taken aback if they have American accents. They learn a lot of their English from TV and movies. Like that's the best way to learn a language is to just watch, especially English, is to just watch it in movies and TV shows, because there are so many of them. So don't be surprised if they have an American accent, but they're like, oh, I'm from Germany.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess you just really need to take up every opportunity that's given to you. So anything that sounds a little bit odd, might be a different food type, or it might be, you might not even know what half the stuff on the menu is if you've looked at the menu. I don't know what half of the stuff that Mitch was trying to pronounce actually meant. But try a bit of everything.
Yeah,
it's
just give it a go.
Culture.
Yeah.
Every experience is 100% just what you make of it. So if you don't like celery, you would have hated Canada if you hadn't found something else to enjoy. So just find things that you enjoy and work on those.
Yeah.
that's fair enough, yeah.
The only other thing I can say is I think we take for granted a little bit in Australia when we go to our events that we do have alcohol there as a bit of a social lubricant to sort of help people come out of themselves a little bit. So it can be a bit intimidating, confronting when you're suddenly surrounded by a group of people that you've never met. You know, some of them don't speak the same language, and suddenly you are just with this new group of people. But you just have to remember that everyone's in the same boat. Everyone is having the same experience. And even if you are a little bit quieter and things like that, you'll find as the moot goes on, as you get to know people more and more, by the end of it, you'll have quite a strong bond of having gone through that experience together. Because there will be hard times, especially when you're cold and hungry and tired, and you've been sitting on a bus designed for children
for 8 hours.
8 hours while you got lost in the woods in Canada somewhere because the driver didn't know where they were going. And you'll be frustrated. However, you can laugh about it later when you're warm and fed
And on YouTube.
Yes.
3 years
4
later.
years later.
Yeah,
right.
So yeah, it's those sorts of experiences that are harder at the time, but you'll remember fondly later. Some places I'm not sure what the setup is like in Iceland, but we had they were called cafes, was how they did them, and they were just areas to go and congregate and be social and things like that. So sometimes they would have fires there. I know on the last 2 nights of Moot there was one that had big fires and everyone was sort of, there's music and dancing and things like that. So that's great fun to go and be a part of, and it's interesting to see even just dancing from different countries and things like that. They'll often try and play some traditional music, and it's amazing to watch different people and how they dance and things like that. It's pretty incredible. So
Expect to learn how to dance.
oh yeah,
You will learn how to dance in at least one culture's language.
I'll
Yeah.
pack my lederhosen.
We salsa, but alright. No, that's what do you? It's not salsa. It's
on International Day
Paso
we did
Doble.
something. I don't even remember what it was. It was insane.
International Day. Great way to learn everyone else's dancing day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose just one last thing. International Day. You know, what did you experience? What can we sort of look forward to?
I liked the nature of barter actually. You started
Yeah.
bartering with your swap gifts, so it's great to try and hold on to some for market day. It's
Yeah.
right in the middle, but it gives you the opportunity to get to know a bunch of cultures. You start, you know, if I give you a flag, will you give me that, and then you trade off in a circle and you see what opportunities you have, and you end up. I think I traded a blow up kangaroo for 3 scarves and a hat or something.
Yeah. It's amazing what you consider to be completely trivial that other people will give you so many things for it. So blow up kangaroos, they're $1 at the reject shop here. I traded for a pair of like proper Havaiana thongs with like the Brazilian flag on it, and also another little like Brazilian flag pin and a few other things. And this guy looked like I'd just given him $100. He was so happy with this kangaroo, and every time I saw him for the next 2 days, he was
Wearing it
walking
on his
around
shoulder.
holding it. So it's little things like that, and that people love, and you're sort of like, okay. But yeah, have lots of little badges and trinkets and things like that that you can exchange with people.
It's a good way to start a conversation.
Yeah, a lot of countries, they really come out on Cultural Day. Everyone gets really into it. It's essentially just a big party for the whole day. You get involved with all the activities and things like that. Play, if you're going to play rugby against the UK or cricket or things like that, get involved because it's a lot of fun. Do be aware it's super competitive though.
From their side.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Kuzi has laid down the gauntlet for the Brits this year, so I think he's talked up our game a little, maybe a little too much. I'm not entirely sure. When they said rugby union, I'm like, I can rugby league.
Well, our first rugby match was called off for a thunderstorm. which was really 2 bolts of lightning and a little bit of thunder, but everyone had to evacuate to their tents. We were very confused by what was happening because we wanted to keep playing. But the second one, it was all in. We were serious because we were playing in thongs and shorts. The UK team had proper singlets and had training before coming to the Moot. But yeah, it's all in good fun.
I believe the UK contingent has
Have done
trained
something.
this
Yeah.
year as well.
They're serious.
They are. We'll challenge them to AFL. See how that goes.
Aussie rules, yeah. Good
But
one.
yeah, take trinkets, be prepared for the weather, and take every opportunity that you can.
Well, thank you very much to Kate and Emma for coming on the show and telling us a little bit about their experience at the World Moot that they attended. You'll be able to see Kate at this World Moot. She'll be attending as well. So make sure you brush up on your rugby union rules and skills. Head to a souvenir shop and get whatever you can. And subscribe to the Queensland Rovers YouTube channel. And remember to always be prepared.